Chapter 1-7. A spacespod flew at high speed toward Earth. Raditz was flying towards Earth in order to bring his brother, Kakarot, with him to help Nappa and Vegeta conquer planets faster so they wouldn't be ridiculed by Frieza's men. Suddenly a white beam of light flew toward Raditz's spacepod. Without caring, it rushed in and struck Raditz's head. Ugh! Raditz lost consciousness while foaming. A long while later. Ugh! Raditz grunted. Where am I? Looking confused, Raditz turned around and inspected his surrounding. It's space. What the? How did I end up in space? Raditz yelled in panic. What? This body. How? It's a battle armor. Raditz yelled in confusion. These memories. I've become Raditz. Raditz mumbled. He didn't remember what he had been doing earlier, before waking up in Raditz's body. But he remembered the Dragon Ball storyline. In fact, he liked it very much. But he couldn't remember who he was, nor what he had been doing prior. Ouch! He pinched himself, hoping to wake up from this dream. The pain dashed his hopes. This was reality for him. He pinched his cheeks. Ouch! He pinched his arm. Ouch! According to Raditz's latest memories. I'm heading to Earth. He mumbled as he shuffled through Raditz's memories. School. Anime. Dragon Ball. I remember these keywords and common sense. But not who I am. I guess I'll just have to take Raditz's identity for now. He clapped his cheeks to get serious. He didn't remember his own name or age, but he clearly knew school, computer, anime, etc. He felt like he was a student before waking up in Raditz's body, but he had no way to confirm that. Bibabip using Raditz's memories, he could easily understand the universal language and pressed a few buttons on the spacepod terminal. In 12 days, I'll reach Earth. He read the letters written in a different language with fluidity. He took the opportunity to use these 12 days to go through all of Raditz's memories and made them his own. There were a lot of killings. Raditz, Nappa and Vegeta had indiscriminately killed many aboriginals in many planets like ants, without remorse or guilt. He could feel Raditz's pride upon seeing Bardock, longing and warm feelings when he saw Jain. They were Raditz's father and mother. Unlike the thousands of Saiyans that had existed before planet Vegeta's destruction, Raditz's family was one of the few that cared about their family members. I always thought Raditz was a cold-hearted scum. But turns out he hadn't meant to kill Goku or Gohan, even though he threatened to kill them. From Raditz's memories, he knew Raditz cared about his family. The threats he gave Goku were just empty threats. He was just a dumb Saiyan believing in the non-existent pride of looking down on the weak ones like ants and killing them like ants. He guessed that Raditz was just going to beat up Goku and Gohan and forcefully abduct them after killing all of Earth's population. Yes, he was cold-blooded, but he still cared about his family. This was mostly due to Jain's gentle personality. Boom! The spacepod landed in a rural area, creating a large crater with the spacepod in the center. PSH, the hatch opened and Raditz climbed out. Who are you? A farmer armed with a rifle yelled in surprise. Beep! Raditz shut down the scouter. He knew it had a transmitter. He didn't want to alarm Vegeta and Nappa with his actions. Everything the scouter sees and hears will be automatically sent back to the others. Unfortunately, Raditz had no authority to disable that function. Hey, calm down. Raditz waved his hand to calm the agitated farmer. Unlike the real Raditz, he wouldn't go out of his way to kill an innocent person. In fact, he wasn't sure he had the guts to kill anyone. Although he could not remember who he was, he could vaguely tell he was just a teenager and most likely a normal high school student. Ah. You are. The farmer looked confused at the spacepod in the center of the crater. He repeatedly switched his gaze between Raditz and the spacepod in the crater. Mind your own business. By the way, which direction is West City? Raditz frowned. He didn't want to announce himself as an alien. That direction. The farmer felt calmer upon being able to communicate with the mysterious man that walked out of a round object which he had thought was a meteorite at first before it landed. He pointed at the direction of West City. Thanks. Raditz closed the hatch and picked up the spacepod and flew away. Can't let others take my spacepod. Although there is also Goku's spacepod. But it's safer to keep it for now. Dr. Brief should be able to make a spaceship with gravity chamber with this. Raditz mumbled. Sigh. I'm not stupid enough to still act like a cannon fodder. But Nappa and Vegeta, especially Vegeta, will hate me for my actions of betraying them. I need the gravity chamber to get stronger. Raditz planned his future steps. After flying away from the farmer, Raditz took off his battle armor and put it inside his space pod and stole some clothes from a nearby house to wear. He didn't want others to speculate what his battle armor meant. These clothes makes me look like a hillbilly. Raditz complained after seeing his reflection in a lake. After flying for a while, he saw a large city in front. He quickly found a nearby forest and landed there. At least this is less attention-catching. Raditz cut off a few trees and made a cart. He put his space pod on the cart and covered it with leaf and branches. Too bad I don't have a cloth. Raditz shook his head and pushed the cart toward West City. It looks quite futuristic. The city was unlike those from modern time in his memories. There were flying cars and air channel roads, round futuristic houses. Raditz asked around a bit and found the address to Capsule Corporation. He planned to leave his space equipment to Dr. Brief. He could also ask for Kame House's direction. If he wanted to fit in here on Earth, he would need to get along with Goku and his friends. Raditz pushed his cart to Capsule Corporation's entrance. Ping, he pressed the intercom. Hello, I'm looking for Dr. Brief. Raditz spoke into the intercom. Dr. Brief is in the garden. Let me call him, please wait a moment. A robotic voice came out of the intercom. Hello, I believe you're looking for me. After a while, Dr. Brief came out with a small black kitten on his shoulder. Hi, Dr. Brief. I'm Raditz, Goku's big brother. Raditz said honestly, he was going to use the identity of Goku's brother as he really was Goku's biological big brother. He unwrapped his tail from his waist and also showed it to Dr. Brief. Oh. Yes, I remember Goku also has a monkey tail. Come in. Dr. Brief easily bought Raditz's story. Dr. Brief, this scouter has a transmitter. Is it possible for you to disable or remove the transmitter sending out information? Raditz handed his scouter to Dr. Brief. Ahem. This look fascinating, so many component is such a small device. Dr. Brief inspected the internal structure of the scouter, his eyes glued to it. No problem, give me an hour. Dr. Brief immediately went to work. Growl. Raditz's stomach growled after waiting for a while. Oh ho ho, I presume you also eat as much as Goku? Let me get you some food. Dr. Brief said generously. Yes, thank you. Raditz thanked politely. A few maid droids brought tens of plates to a table. It smells so good. Raditz smiled and started digging in. It's finished, whoever built this device is a genius. I've already mapped the structure, I believe I'll be able to make a scouter soon enough. Dr. Brief came back with a happy smile. That's great. Thank you, Dr. Brief. I have another request. Raditz had just finished his meal, dozens of empty plates stacked up on the table. Here's a space pod, can you build a gravity chamber after analyzing this? Raditz removed the leaves and branches covering the cart. A space pod. It's a spaceship that's capable of flying in space. Interesting. I'll start examining it right now. Dr. Brief's fell out of his mouth. Dr. Brief needed a few days to fully examine his space pod, so Raditz decided to look for Goku and his friends first. Since this was the day Goku went to Kame House, Raditz put on his scouter, which Dr. Brief had removed the transmitter. Beep. Raditz pressed the button and had the scouter find the highest battle power for him. After a while it found the target. That direction. Raditz mumbled. Raditz asked Dr. Brief for some more comfortable clothes before leaving. He did not want to look like a hillbilly. Raditz left Capsule Corporation wearing a dark tank top and a pair of blue shorts. What an incredible power. I can barely believe what I'm sensing. Goku tensed up as he stared into the sky. There he is. A small dot quickly grew in size. Talk. Raditz landed in Kame House Island. We finally meet, Kakarot. Raditz's mind spun furiously as he organized his thoughts. Goku looked dumbly at Raditz. Who's he? Krillin wondered. Kakarot, you look just like our father. Raditz couldn't just come out and say he knew everything there was to Dragon Ball. So he had to pretend meeting Goku for the first time. What are you talking about? Goku looked confused. Kakarot, don't tell me you don't recognize your own elder brother? Raditz smiled. It was like he was playing a game with Goku, making him more and more confused. I'm not Kakarot, I'm Son Goku. You've mistook me for someone else. Goku said. Ha ha ha. Kakarot, tell me. Do you recognize this? Raditz unwrapped his tail from his waist. A tail? The group was shocked upon seeing Raditz's tail. You have a tail just like the one I used to have. Goku said, his face still filled with shock. Kakarot, what are you playing around for? I am your elder brother, how can you have forgotten your family? Raditz exaggeratedly clenched his fist in anger. I have no idea what you're talking about. Goku said quietly. He was having some doubts on his own. Don't tell me you've taken a blow to your head and forgotten everything? Raditz yelled. It's true, I have a scar. I might have hit my head once, but I was too little to remember. Goku felt the scar on his head. Goku. Your grandfather once told me about the time he found a baby in the woods. A baby with a tail. He had a violent disposition and couldn't be tamed by anyone. That is, until that baby accidentally fell down a ravine, hitting his head. The boy nearly died, but pulled through. When he awoke, his violent temper subsided, and he grew into a kind-hearted boy. Master Roshi told the group. And that baby was me? Goku asked. Yes. Master Roshi nodded. You're really my brother? Goku asked in doubt. Goku has got a brother. Krillin was shocked. That's right. Raditz nodded. Then why did you guys abandon me? Where are my parents? You said I look just like our father. Goku yelled. Dead. All 4,000 of our people all died not long after you were born. Raditz said. Dead. Goku was shocked, he just found out about his parents, but they were already dead. 4,000 of you people. Don't tell me each of them also had a tail. Bulma was shocked. That's right, we're not Earthlings. Kakarot, you and I are both Saiyan. Raditz said. Saiyan. Goku mumbled. Saiyan? Not Earthling. Jigoku and you are aliens. And no way. Bulma's eyes widened in shock. I am an alien. Goku was shocked. How did the Saiyans die? Krillin asked. We have a lot of time, I don't mind taking it slowly. Raditz motioned his head towards the door. Since he planned to explain a lot, why not relax and take a seat inside the house? The group went inside and sat down on the couch. You haven't introduced yourself yet. Goku said, he still didn't know his own brother's name. After Master Roshi's explanation and Raditz's tale, he already believed Raditz's story. My name is Raditz. We Saiyans are a fighting race, we have strong bodies and unlimited potentials. The more we battle, the stronger we become. Raditz explained. No wonder Goku is so strong. Krillin exclaimed. But that isn't all. What makes us really frightening is Zenkai. What doesn't kill us, makes us stronger. Each time we experience a near death and recover, our power greatly enhanced. As I've said before, the more we battle, the stronger we become. Even normal injuries after recovering will increase our power, but the more severe the wounds, the greater the improvements. Raditz explained. Isn't that cheating? Krillin yelled in envy. Doesn't that mean you Saiyans are the strongest? If you just keep injuring yourselves and heal up, you would be unkillable. How did your race get destroyed? Bulma asked confused. It doesn't work that way, self-inflicted wounds does not boost our powers. Simply recovering from injuries without battles will have diminished returns, we Saiyans imprint the experiences from the battles and injuries we receive. We are highly adaptable and are quick learners. Raditz said. No wonder I felt I become so much stronger after my battle with Piccolo. Goku had been severely injured, his body crippled and a large gaping hole in his chest during his battle against Piccolo in the WMA, World Martial Arts, tournament. After eating a senzu bean, he fully recovered and had his powers improved. We can talk about our race's destruction later. We have more trouble coming. What was most important is surviving Vegeta's rage. He did not tolerate betrayers and was certain to come to Earth sooner or later to find out the reason Raditz's scouter stopped sending back information. Trouble? Goku wondered. Our race are evil, but don't get me wrong. Not every one of us Saiyans are evil. We worked for Frisia, the ruler of the universe. Frisia's forces scour space for suitable planets to live in and exterminate all the native species before selling it to other races. Naturally, as we Saiyans worked for Frisia, we also did the same. Raditz said. These matters would be found out sooner or later anyway. This is horrible. You guys are just space pirates. Krillin yelled. Like I said, not all Saiyans are evil. While the majority of the Saiyans partake in such missions, there are also non-combatant Saiyans who does not fight or kill. Our home planet, Planet Vegeta, had a cruel environment to live. The gravity is 10x Earth's. King Vegeta was a cruel, selfish and heartless bastard. All babies have their battle power measured. If you are born with a battle power too low, you'll be deemed unfit as a warrior. You're not even allowed to stay on our home planet. Most of these babies are sent to low-level planets as infiltration babies and not long after they were born. Only if you survive and take over the planet are you allowed to return to our home planet and become a warrior. But the survival rate is pitifully low. The reason our race has such a low population is because many of us warriors already die in combat, but to send off so many babies, how could our race's population ever flourish? Raditz clenched his fist in anger. He did not know what had gotten in him, but he felt anger when he thought of these matters. That's horrible. How can your people send so many babies to their death? They don't even have a choice in choosing either. How can your king be so heartless? He's forcing them to either kill off all the inhabitants in a planet or die. Bulma felt sympathy. Doesn't that mean Goku was an infiltration baby? Krillin was shocked. That's right. My little brother was born with a battle power of 2 and was deemed unfit as a warrior and sent to Earth. His mission was to exterminate the humans. Once finished, he would be allowed to return back to our home planet. But not long after he was sent off, our home planet was destroyed. In a way, it was lucky Kakarot ended up here. Raditz nodded. A small number of the low-class Saiyan babies are allowed to become engineers. There were several hundreds of non-combatant Saiyans in our home planet. Our mother was one of them. She had a kind and gentle personality. She couldn't kill her enemies and always let them go, but the enemies weren't so understanding. They would rather throw away their lives and take down her in a suicidal attack. Our mother retired and worked in the meat distribution center ever since. Raditz felt emotional when he talked about Jain. So my mom was a kind person. Raditz, what's my parents' names? Goku felt better knowing his mother wasn't evil. Our father's name is Bardock, and you look just like him. Our mother's called Jain. She was a kind and caring mother. Raditz's eyes became moist. It seemed the old Raditz also missed his parents. Not long ago, I found out the truth of our race's destruction. The only Saiyans left are you, me, Nappa and Prince Vegeta. We Saiyans worked our ass off for Frieza. We showed loyalty, but what we got in return was betrayal. Frieza exterminated our race, destroyed our planet. It's laughable how we're still working for Frieza. He lied about the truth of our race's destruction to keep our loyalty. Vegeta knew this all along, but he did not care, nor did he tell me and Nappa about it. Prince Vegeta is just as cruel and heartless as his father, King Vegeta. He did not feel anything even though he knew Frieza killed his father, killed our race. The only thing on his mind is to become the strongest. He wants to take over Frieza's position and rule the universe. Raditz clenched his fists, his body shook. He felt the old Raditz's emotions. Before Raditz left for Earth, the three of them had had a discussion. Nappa was the one who found out about the truth and asked him and Vegeta about it. That was when Vegeta disclosed that he knew the truth all along. That's horrible. The group could feel Raditz's anger. Vegeta does not tolerate any betrayers. If we Saiyans do not listen to him, he will kill us. Sooner or later, Vegeta will find out something is wrong and come here. Kaka, Goku, you and I do not intend to follow that bastard. That means we will have to fight him. Raditz said. Raditz had almost said Kakarot due to his memories, but to him who transmigrated into Raditz's body, he did not care at all about the Saiyan name, thus he called him Goku instead. So that's the trouble you meant. Goku nodded. This is very serious. Vegeta is a super elite, his battle power is 18,000. Raditz felt the group did not understand the situation. How is battle power calculated? Goku only knew that Raditz's ki was incredibly strong, way stronger than his. Bibibip Raditz pressed the button on his scouter and scanned everyone's battle power. An average adult human have a battle power of 5, Goku your is 334, your son's 1, that woman's 12, the old man's 139, the short guy's 206. While mine is 1,500 and Nappa's over 4,000. I do not know the exact of his, but it is likely over 5,000 once he fully releases his power. Raditz told the group. So I'm stronger than 2 adult men? Bulma smiled. This isn't the time to be happy about that. That Vegeta guy has a battle power of 18,000. Krillin yelled. It was too shocking of a number for him. So high. Goku was also shocked, now he had a better understanding of the numbers. How high is my battle power now? Goku hurriedly removed his weighted clothes. Bibibip Raditz measured Goku's battle power again. It's 416. 450, 454. Raditz read out the readings. Goku pushed out all his ki, though not concentrating it in one point which could greatly enhance its power. We're doomed. Bulma clutched her head and yelled. She was smart and did a quick mental calculations comparing them to Nappa and Vegeta. When do you think Vegeta and Nappa will come? Krillin asked in distress. In at least a year, at most in 2 or 3 years. Raditz said with a serious face. The trip here would take just 1 year, since Vegeta did not know about the Dragon Balls, he might delay it a while. But it still wouldn't be for too long. But don't worry too much, unlike you humans, most alien races do not know any martial arts, we have no control over our ki. We use these scouters to measure battle power and to find people. Goku, your control of ki is quite good. What you lack is a strong body, you did not get to stay in planet Vegeta where the gravity is 10x this planet's. Once you've strengthened your body, your battle power will skyrocket, it wouldn't be weird for it to reach several thousands with simply a year's training. Raditz explained. What about us? Krillin asked envious upon hearing how strong Goku will become. We Saiyans have great potential, strong bodies and great adaptability. We are born fighters. But I believe you would also require some gravity training. Gravity training will train each part of your body equally, even your weak internal organs will be strengthened. Raditz said. Ugh. Krillin lamented the fact he was human for the first time. I'll contact Yamcha, Tien Shinhan and Kaiatsu. Goku stood up. Wait. Don't forget to train your son. I can vaguely feel threatened by the strength hidden inside his body. He should have a battle power of at least 1000. I believe the scouter's reading of 1 is due to his ki being hidden. Raditz reminded, he knew Gohan had great potential. Due to Raditz never fighting Goku, Gohan might not get to train. 1000. That's even higher than Goku's. Krillin yelled. As expected of Goku's child, huh? Master Roshi sighed in amazement. So high. Alright, I'll try to calm this chi-chi. Goku said meekly. Goku quickly jumped on his flying nimbus and soared away. Gohan was left with the group since Goku was going to come back with his friends first. The group started introducing themselves, they didn't like being called you or shorty or woman. After a while, Goku came back with Yamcha, Tien Shinhan, Kaiatsu and even Piccolo. You brought Piccolo. Krillin and Bulma freaked out at first, then remembered Raditz was with them and calmed down. Raditz, what's Piccolo's battle power? Krillin asked. Bibibip Raditz measured. 322 Raditz read the scouter. This scouter really is useful, huh? Raditz, lend it to me. I want to see if I can make another one. Bulma asked. Sure, here. Raditz took off the scouter and handed it to Bulma. Battle power. Piccolo felt threatened by the huge ki uncontrollably released by Raditz. After the group explained what battle power was, everyone was eager to measure it. Bulma helplessly handed back the scouter to Raditz, she tried reading, but she did not understand the universal language. Piccolo's battle power without his weighted clothes was 408, Yamcha's was 176, Tien Shinhan's was 298. Kami invites everyone to the lookout. Suddenly Mr. Popo appeared outside the house, standing on his floating carpet. It seems, Kami eavesdropped, huh? Raditz didn't feel it was weird considering the huge ki he had, it was hard for Kami not to notice such a strong ki as there was no one else stronger than him currently on Earth. I've heard everything, if we want to survive, we will have to prepare ourselves. Kami said solemnly. Kami. You can't be serious. Do you actually believe aliens exist? Yamcha yelled in disbelief. The concept of aliens was too far-fetched for them. Aliens do exist, I've had the privilege to see several aliens before. As Earth's guardian, I am privy to certain matters. Kami said vaguely. Is he talking about the other world? Raditz wondered in his mind. Goku, you have a list of commendable achievements. I'll try to convince King Enmasama to let you seek guidance under King Kai. Kami said and explained the 1,000,000-kilometer Snake Way trial. What? A 1,000,000-kilometer-long road? I'll starve to death before I reach the end. Goku exclaimed in shock. Wait, Can't we just use the Dragon Balls to wish for us to be transported to King Kai? Raditz interjected. Maybe even he would be able to learn under King Kai in this way. Ah! That's a great idea. Goku said happily. As a Saiyan, he could not think of ever starving himself to death. Let's see, next is Vegeta, then it's Frieza Saga. Kaioken will only be useful during Saiyan Saga and Frieza Saga, but to fight Frieza, only Super Saiyan transformation can defeat him. Raditz pondered. I'll go look for the Dragon Balls. Goku turned around and jumped down the lookout. Great, he forgot about Gohan. Krillin complained, Goku was supposed to ask Chi-Chi for permission to train Gohan first. But now, he probably had to go instead. He shivered just at the thought of receiving Chi-Chi's rage. Ugh. That's really disrespectful to King Kai. Kami didn't manage to stop Goku in time, his face darkened. I should buy some gag books. Raditz thought. King Kai was quite lax in his ways. Raditz did not believe King Kai would send them away just because they did not complete the Snake Way trial. After all, just telling a few jokes was enough to make him jump up in joy. Sigh. Well, next up. Mr. Popo, please teach Raditz martial arts. Raditz, I can sense the great power in you, if what you said is real. Then your former companions are real monsters. We have no time to waste, please follow Mr. Popo to the room of time and spirit. Kami said. Great. Raditz was excited to learn martial arts. Ah. Please wait a bit, I got a few matters to finish before I can start training. Raditz said. He wanted to get his gravity chamber first. Dr. Brief had already started tinkering, he believed in a few days tops, he would have a gravity chamber. Can't waste the precious time in the hyperbolic time chamber. Raditz said inwardly. He wanted to use the excess time he had to train in the gravity chamber. He could stay inside the hyperbolic time chamber for a year each time, it would be a waste to leave early, and also a waste to not fully train at his highest efficiency. As a Saiyan, naturally the gravity chamber would greatly aid in his training. Raditz flew over to Dr. Brief, awaiting his gravity chamber. Meanwhile, Krillin knew the severity of the Saiyan's arrival in 1 year. He had to somehow convince Chi-Chi to let Gohan train with them. With unsteady steps, he walked toward Mtipauzu with a solemn face, as if he was sacrificing his life for this mission. Naturally, he cursed Goku under his breath. A week went by, Raditz had impatiently waited for Dr. Brief to finish the gravity chamber. He had specifically told him he only needed the gravity chamber and not a spaceship, the only requirement was the ability to turn it into a capsule, otherwise he would be incapable of moving it around. Raditz had just gotten a few senzu beans from Korin, he had also tried sitting on a flying Nimbus cloud, but unfortunately he wasn't able to and just fell through the cloud. Is it because I don't have a pure heart or due to the sins from the old Raditz? Raditz wondered if it was the heavy sins from all the killings of innocent lives. Kami had said Raditz was not evil, but he had many sins surrounding his body. Bulma had come back home and was pleasantly surprised that her father had made a blueprint of Raditz Scouter. After a few hours of tinkering, she had made herself a scouter. Wow, you're really a genius. Raditz praised Bulma. Ho ho ho. Of course I am a genius. Bulma laughed conceitedly with her right hands back on her chin. Raditz was speechless, but helpless as well, as what she said was really true. Who else was such a genius to even manage to create a time machine in the future? After a while, Dr. Brief finally managed to make a gravity chamber in a week's time. Because he had not had the chance to repair Kami's old Namekian spaceship, he lacked experience and knowledge in building these advanced machines. Thanks. Raditz smiled radiantly, he quickly turned the gravity chamber into a capsule and flew away. Dr. Brief was still chattering about the danger of training with gravity. Finally time to learn martial arts. Raditz held a bag of senzu on his left hand, the capsule in his right hand. With the senzu, he was not worried to accidentally train in too high gravity and get crushed to death by simply the gravity itself. On Raditz's request, Kami made several sets of training clothes for Raditz. Because Raditz knew the training would destroy his clothes repeatedly, and he didn't want to train naked like a caveman. Kami was personally supervising the Yamcha, Krillin, Tien Shinhan, Kaiatsu, Gohan and Piccolo's training. They had already started training on the first day they came. For some reason, Krillin had a bandage wrapped around his head. Did Chi-Chi? Raditz wondered. Raditz and Mr. Popo entered the hyperbolic time chamber. Raditz put away his scouter, bag of senzu and his many sets of clothes. He didn't want them to get destroyed during his training. Let's start. Raditz smiled excitedly and walked toward Mr. Popo. The 10x gravity was not a problem for his body, he quickly adjusted to the new gravity due to the old Raditz experiences on planet Vegeta. The uncomfortable part was the harsh weather here with the constant fluctuating temperatures changing between extreme cold to extreme heat constantly. A day passed since Raditz stepped into the room of spirit and time. Creak. The door to the room of spirit and time opened, a man with spiky hair reaching his calves wearing ragged clothes stepped out of the door. As expected, a Saiyan learns best in battles. Raditz clenched his fist, a bang sound could be heard as the air in his fist exploded. Feeling the newfound strength coursing through his arm, Raditz smiled. Raditz was more talented than Earthlings when it came to learning martial arts, but the speed was too slow for him, who had no martial arts foundation. If he were to learn it the normal way, it would probably have taken him several years to master Kami's martial arts. But he is a Saiyan, why would he need to practice the martial arts forms for hours each day? A Saiyan learned best in combat, imprinting each information he receives from a battle into his mind. Raditz couldn't control his strength in the beginning, as such, the spar with Mr. Popo was quite awkward, with Raditz gaining very little each time. But as they sparred more and more, Raditz was like a sponge, soaking in all the knowledge of Mr. Popo's martial arts. Raditz learned to suppress his own ki and was able to have satisfying spars each time with Mr. Popo. His martial arts knowledge increased rapidly, and in 8 months, he had learned everything. The last 4 months was spent on gravity training. Since Raditz had learned everything he had, Mr. Popo left early. Unlike others, Mr. Popo was not restricted by the number of times he could enter the hyperbolic time chamber, nor the amount of time he could stay. Even if he stayed longer than 1 year, the door leading to the real world would not disappear. These were the information Mr. Popo had told Raditz immediately, once the two of them had stepped inside the hyperbolic time chamber. This was because Raditz could potentially get trapped inside the room if he did not follow the rules. The reason Raditz walked out in ragged clothes were due to all his extra training clothes had been destroyed. Once Raditz could suppress his ki down to Mr. Popo's level, his clothes got destroyed quite easily. His training in the gravity chamber also destroyed the rest of his extra clothes. This was because Raditz did not fear to overstrain his body, he had brought some senzu beans before he had entered the hyperbolic time chamber. Because he trained in higher gravity than his body could bear, Raditz had used up all the senzu beans he brought with him. The remaining time was spent on more moderate gravity. Whenever his body was badly injured, he would meditate until his body recovered. Luckily, Saiyans had much higher recovery ability than Earthlings, normally a week or 2 would be enough to heal all his injuries. Raditz. Goku sensed the large ki coming from the center of the lookout. Goku, have you finished gathering the Dragon Balls? Raditz asked. Although only 1 day had passed, he had waited a week before entering the hyperbolic time chamber. The fact that Goku was back in the lookout should mean he had finished gathering all the Dragon Balls. Yes, they're here. Goku pointed at the 7 Dragon Balls glowing a bit away. Never mind that, let's fight. Goku said excitedly. Did your powers increase after a week? Raditz asked helplessly. There was no meaning for him to fight Goku before he had powered up. Ahaha, no. I've just finished gathering the Dragon Ball. Let's ask Shinran to send us to King Kai. Goku embarrassingly scratched the back of his head. He already knew he was no match for Raditz even before Raditz entered the hyperbolic time chamber. Now that Raditz had trained for a year inside, and his ki had increased by so much, there wasn't really any meaning for Goku to try fighting Raditz. Raditz, maybe you're strong enough to take on the Saiyans now? Yamcha asked. He felt it was impossible for anyone to have a ki larger than Raditz had. Especially with him being guided by Mr. Popo and had learned Kami's martial arts, he had also trained in the mysterious place called Room of Time and Spirit. Beep-beep-beep. Raditz put on the scouter and scanned his own battle power. The scouter was fine since he never wore it during his training. 8,500, that's half Vegeta's battle power. Raditz was pleasantly surprised by his new strength, it had increased by manyfold. If I learn Kaioken, with 2x Kaioken, I'll almost be a match to Vegeta. Never mind, even with just Goku and the rest fighting Vegeta, they're quite equal already, and barely managed to chase away Vegeta. But with me joining them, there are no troubles anymore. Raditz's mind spun. He had been worried he would get killed, but now, he was confident in staying alive. Unfortunately, he only had 3 senzu beans. If he had a few more, it wouldn't be impossible for him to train as hard as Goku did during the few days he flew toward planet Namek like in the story, but unfortunately his battle power was much lower than Goku's was when he started gravity training, and he had fewer senzu beans to squander. If he were to start training like Goku did, now with his battle power over 8,000. He had quite a good chance to enhance his battle power to 70 to 80,000. Unfortunately there were only 3 Senzu beans in Korin Tower. The first thing Raditz did was slap away Yajirobe, sternly warning him to never touch a Senzu bean again. Hopefully there will be enough Senzu beans in a year. Raditz lamented. If he had more Senzu beans, he could have trained crazily in the gravity chamber. So much. But unfortunately, Vegeta's battle power is 18,000. Krillin sighed. Wow. Raditz, you had just 1,500 before, now it's 8,500. That's, how many times did it increase? Goku started counting his fingers to no avail. Goku, you can't count it exactly with these numbers, it's over 5 times. Krillin rolled his eyes at Goku. The number was 5 2/3, it was impossible for Goku to get the exact amount with whole numbers. He saw Goku keep stretching out his 5th finger, then bending it back down in confusion. Raditz went over to Cammy and asked for a new set of training clothes. Cammy kindly materialized them directly on Raditz's body. Even though King Kai could do the same, Raditz needed to look properly before going to the city. Raditz wasn't confident he could make King Kai laugh. He quickly bought a gag book. Raditz didn't have any money at all, and he did not think a mere book would cause the bookstore to panic. What he did was merely shoplifting. With Raditz's might, no one in the bookstore noticed Raditz leaving with a book unpaid. Raditz stuffed the book inside his clothes, on his waist and flew back to the lookout. Goku summoned Shinran and asked if it was possible to send everyone to King Kai. With no surprise, Shinran gladly fulfilled the group's wish. With a whoosh, the whole group except Cammy and Mr. Popo was sent to King Kai's planet. They are so rude. Cammy said speechlessly as he saw the white light glowing around the group bring them away. This is all for Earth's sake. Mr. Popo said. Huh? Who? Where did you guys come from? King Kai's eyes widened in shock. The group of 8 consisting of Raditz, Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien Shinhan, and Kaiatsu suddenly appeared in front of him, as if they had teleported here. Ugh. The group had just wanted to explain, when the gravity on King Kai's planet, which was 10x Earth's gravity, acted on them. Everyone except Raditz, who was both used to planet Vegeta's 10x gravity, as well as having trained on 30x gravity in his gravity chamber, was fine. This was also with him being on guard, with the knowledge of King Kai's planet having a higher gravity than Earth. 7 consecutive bang sounds echoed as the other 7 in the group fell flat on their faces, due to the sudden increase in gravity. Ahahaha. This is truly eating dog turd. Ahahaha. Are you guys enjoying your meal of dog turd? Ahahaha. King Kai fell on his back, holding his belly with his hands, his legs constantly kicked as he laughed again and again. The faces of the 7 were covered in brown mud, it was as if they were covered in dog turd. Cough, cough. Bleg. The group kept coughing out dirt from their mouths. You damned bastard. Piccolo was really angry, a vein popped on his forehead as he clenched his fist hard and with a bang, exploded his ki, turning all the dirt covering him into dust. The explosion then sent the dust away. As short-tempered as always. Krillin commented in speechlessness. After the outburst of ki, Piccolo once again fell down to the ground, but this time on his knees, with his arms stretched out, keeping him from falling flat on the ground. What's with this damned gravity? Piccolo cursed. With his shaky arms and legs, he slowly got up. Piccolo was no longer arrogant, he quickly tossed away his turban and mantle. The extra weight was what put him on almost the same level as the rest of the Earthlings. He. I can also stand. Goku smiled. With shaky legs, he managed to stand up. But he did not remove the weighted clothes he wore. Damn you, Son Goku. Piccolo's fighting spirit was ignited. He knew Goku also wore weighted clothes. He did not want to lose to Goku, and quickly put back on his turban and mantle. His legs started shaking once again from the extra weight. These guys are monsters. Yamcha exclaimed with his head still resting on the ground. I can understand Raditz standing just fine, with his battle power over 10 times higher than Goku and Piccolo. But the 2 of them actually managed to stand up with their weighted clothes on. Krillin said in envy. The rest of the group consisted of Gohan, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien Shinhan, and Kaiatsu. They also wore weighted clothes which were given to them by Cammy for their training. But they were unable to stand up with the weighted clothes worn. Helplessly, the 5 of them took off the weighted clothes, and with shaky legs, slowly stood up. Finally, they started dusting off the dirt covering their faces and clothes. Wow! You guys aren't bad at all. Especially for living beings, your might scare the ghosts to death. Ahahaha. King Kai laughed at his own joke. He saw everything, the heavy sounds the weighted clothes made when the group took off their weighted clothes, but he was especially surprised seeing Raditz, Goku, and Piccolo standing with all their clothes on. Especially Raditz, his ki was really large, much larger than anyone else in the group. King Kai, I have a gift for you. Please train me. Raditz took out the gag book from his waist and handed it to King Kai. Ahahaha. This is great. This is great. Oh ho ho. This one too. King Kai flipped through the book while constantly laughing. Not bad. I'll train you into the best gag artist. King Kai proclaimed with pride. Ah. Raditz's mouth twitched. He knew King Kai's personality, but to actually experience him face to face. That was quite something. King Kai. I want to train in martial arts. Raditz explained. Why didn't you say so earlier? Alright, show me what you've got. King Kai said. Ha! Raditz clenched his fists and pushed out all his energy. Raditz's energy constantly generated gusts of wind. FSSH, FSSH. The wind blew crazily, the grass danced, the branches waved and the leaves shook. Alright. Stop. King Kai hurriedly asked Raditz to stop. He was worried the grass would get pulled out of the ground, leaving only brown dirt left. Such power. Everyone in Raditz's group was amazed. Although they knew Raditz's ki was really large, to actually have him push out all his ki was a whole other sense of feeling. To think Vegeta is twice as strong. Krillin was horrified of their impending disaster. But also extremely jealous of the Saiyans' talent. He believed, just like Raditz, not long after, Goku's ki would also experience an enormous rise. What an enormous power. Piccolo's eyes narrowed. He knew Raditz was stronger than him, but he did not expect the difference was so incredibly large. He had a hard time believing he could ever surpass Raditz. Ah. So you're a Saiyan. No wonder you had no trouble standing. Your home planet Vegeta also has a gravity that is equal to my planet. King Kai praised upon seeing Raditz's brown monkey tail wrapped around his waist. Ahem. I can sense quite a lot of sins wrapped around you, but I can't feel any evil intent in your mind. Are you really a Saiyan? King Kai was surprised. He knew just how savage and bloodthirsty the Saiyans were. The sins wrapped around Raditz's body was from the old Raditz killing innocent lives. This was something Raditz inherited after taking over the body. The only way to get rid of the sins was by doing good deeds, to cancel out the sins surrounding his body. Yes, but I hit my head a few days before I arrived on Earth. It messed up my head pretty badly. Raditz made up an excuse, which was quite truthful, as the old Raditz's last memories were being hit by a white beam of light right in the head. Me too. I'm also a Saiyan. I also hit my head when I was a child. Goku shouted, explaining that he had experienced quite a similar accident. The group then proceeded to explain their actual situation, their impending disaster, of the two Saiyans coming to invade Earth. Ahem. Ahem. I see them. They're heading toward Earth. It will take them about a year to reach Earth, with the speed they are flying. King Kai waved his antenna and calculated the Saiyans' flight speed. Wow! Piccolo, can you also do the same with your antennas? Goku asked curiously. Piccolo also had two antennas, which seemed to have no use. No. Humph. Piccolo snorted and turned around. Goku is the only one being chill with Piccolo. Don't he know that Piccolo still wants to kill him? Krillin whispered to Yamcha. None of them knew that Piccolo's sharp Namekian ears were capable of hearing Krillin's words. As usual, everyone was required to make a joke that would make King Kai laugh, before they would be eligible to learn under King Kai. For some reason, Goku was the first one to succeed. As King Kai had a lousy sense of humor, Goku's lame jokes fit him perfectly. After a few days, only Piccolo failed to make King Kai laugh. Feeling humiliated, he did not continue trying anymore. Raditz was too strong to need any training like catching bubbles or hitting Gregory with a hammer. King Kai had taught him Kaioken. Right now, Raditz was doing his best to learn this technique. The rest of the group were trying to catch bubbles, Piccolo included. Because the gravity was too much for them, except Piccolo and Goku, the rest did not wear their weighted clothes. King Kai had told them the gravity was 10x Earth's gravity, which amazed them even more, that the Saiyans' home planet actually had such a high gravity. Hey! Piccolo, what do you think you're doing? You're not allowed to train with them before you pass my test. King Kai rebuked. Humph. I don't need your lousy training. Piccolo gnashed his teeth and left. He walked up to a tree and sat down cross-legged and started meditating. Come on, Piccolo. It's not hard. Goku saw everything. He walked up to Piccolo, and tried to encourage him to continue telling jokes to King Kai. I do not need to humiliate myself. Piccolo yelled angrily, his face flushed from remembering his attempts at telling jokes to King Kai. Goku tried persuading Piccolo several times but failed. Without a choice, he walked up to Raditz and asked his big brother to help. Goku is really too kind. He's helping his archenemy to get stronger. Krillin looked speechlessly as Goku was begging Raditz to persuade Piccolo. You do realize Piccolo still wants your life, right? Raditz was also speechless. Although he knew that Piccolo would become good in the future, Goku did not know that yet. But he still treated Piccolo like a friend already. Don't worry. I'll just have to defeat him. Goku said confidently. Is this how he made Piccolo turn good? Raditz wondered in his mind. To treat his enemies as friends, if it works, he will convert his enemies into friends. But Goku was doing it unwittingly, this was his nature, and not done with ulterior motives. Alright, I'll try. Seeing how Goku was practically begging him, Raditz nodded and walked up to Piccolo. Hey, are you really going to give up training? Raditz asked Piccolo. I don't need to humiliate myself to get stronger, I can train by myself. Piccolo looked sternly at Raditz. All it takes is a bit of humiliation for you to give up strength. If you're fine with the humans getting stronger than you, if you're fine being dead last of the rest of the group, then suit yourself. Raditz pressured Piccolo with his ki. I tried. Piccolo said silently. He had a really thin skin, otherwise, with how competitive he is, there was no way he would simply give up his training with King Kai. Yeah, I know. I don't have a great sense of humor either. So why don't you just look up a joke from the gag book, I'm sure he'll laugh in no time. Raditz gave a piece of advice to Piccolo, he pointed at the book on the table, next to King Kai, who was reclining on the chair. A few days later, King Kai announced that Piccolo passed his test. Unknowingly, Piccolo had surreptitiously memorized a few jokes from the gag book while King Kai was out driving on his car. At first, Piccolo simply extended his arms to catch bubbles, but after getting berated, as this action did not help him train in King Kai's planet with its 10x gravity. He finally obediently chased after Bubbles, with Goku close to catching Bubbles, Piccolo unrelentingly pushed harder, which in return made the rest of the group work harder, their hard work pleased King Kai. 4 months later, Raditz finally managed to learn Kaioken. Unfortunately, comparison made one despair, Goku took 2 months to catch Bubbles and hit Gregory with the heavy hammer. And in simply another 2 months, he learned Kaioken. Yet it took Raditz twice the time to learn the same technique. Shit! Is this the main character Halo? Or is Goku just so talented? Raditz grumbled in his mind. If his talent was half of Goku's, then everything he did required twice the effort to catch up with Goku, who is now his younger brother. Piccolo, although stronger than the rest of the group, he did not have the same talents as a Saiyan. It took more than 3 months for him to catch Bubbles and hit Gregory with the heavy hammer. The rest of the group had already caught Bubbles, but was still nowhere close to hitting Gregory. Instead, they had hammered King Kai's planet into a beehive, large-sized indents littered the whole planet. King Kai regretted making the second challenge hitting Gregory with a heavy hammer. What was surprising was that Gohan did not fall behind the group of humans, he did quite well for just having started learning martial arts 4 months ago. Although he was still weaker than Yamcha, he was catching up at a quick pace, he was already as strong as Kaiatsu. Everyone praised Gohan's talent, he was a natural martial artist. 8 months passed, Raditz and Goku had learned Spirit Bomb, while Piccolo and Tien Shinhan had learned Kaioken. How come Spirit Bomb is even harder? Raditz complained silently. Goku learned Spirit Bomb in 2 months, meanwhile it took Raditz 5 months. Comparison really made one despair. If it wasn't because Spirit Bomb was such an amazing attack that even killed Kid Buu, Raditz would not have put so much time just to learn this technique. Luckily, Saiyans were talented in energy manipulation, otherwise, he would be like Piccolo and the rest, who did not manage to learn Spirit Bomb. Even just the Kaioken was a big hurdle for the group. Gohan was really talented, but unfortunately, his martial arts experience was lacking, otherwise he would be the next to have learned Kaioken. But thanks to King Kai's extra care, Gohan's martial arts foundation is very sturdy now. Boom. Boom. Bang. Raditz and Goku clashed continuously in the air above King Kai's planet. After several minutes, the two of them landed on the ground. He, I've improved by a lot, right? Goku smiled cheekily. Yeah. Too much though. Raditz mumbled. He used to be so much stronger than Goku, but now the two of them were almost equal. Are they even humans? Yamcha mumbled. The aftermath of the clashes earlier had almost sent the group flying. They are Saiyans. Sigh. Krillin corrected Yamcha and looked enviously at the Raditz and Goku. Humph. I won't lose. Piccolo clenched his fist hard. He had sparred several times with Goku during these months, but each time, the gap between them grew wider and wider. At least you did not feel the same despair I do. Raditz looked at Piccolo's fist and said quietly in his mind. He had had a much higher battle power than Goku a year ago, but now, the difference between them wouldn't be more than 1,000 battle power. The two of them did not experience any Zenkai during their training with King Kai, but Goku improved faster than Raditz, mastered the techniques faster than him, each and every time. Raditz was worried he would be left behind soon, with the rate Goku improved. He didn't have the main character halo, he wasn't especially talented, he was just a normal guy, who happened to take over Raditz's body. King Kai, like usual, forgot to calculate the group's time spent on returning. Luckily, Raditz and Goku were a lot stronger than Goku was in the story, when he rushed back to Earth in haste. We'll go ahead. Goku said to the group and powered up, his ki flared high up in the air and he flew toward the Snake Way. Raditz also powered up and flew away. Piccolo did not want to lose and followed the two. Let's follow them. Gohan said and flew after the three. Let's go. Krillin, Yamcha, Tien Shinhan, and Kaiotsu also followed. Damn it. Kaioken. Piccolo saw the distance between him and Goku and Raditz increase, his ki was lower than the two in front of him. He could only resort to Kaioken to follow them. His ki shot up by 50% and he hurried after Goku and Raditz. Tien Shinhan, are you also going to use Kaioken? Krillin wondered. The only way for Tien Shinhan to catch up to the three in front was to use Kaioken like Piccolo did. No. My mastery of Kaioken is too low, I'm afraid I won't be able to battle once I reach Earth if I use it now. Tien Shinhan shook his head. What use was it for him to use Kaioken now, if it would leave him incapacitated for the battle ahead? If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.